got five. You got $5. Up to 5 years, you have the ability to use that $5 for obligations that the cost of which were increased. Valid obligation. You bought a boat, the boat cost more than you thought, more than you contracted, but it's a valid obligation. Good faith, the person built the boat for you, you accepted the boat, now it's going to cost $2 more. You have the ability to go back and use that $2 that already expired for new obligations to pay for that obligation that you incurred previously. But after 5 years, it's gone.
But it can't buy a new boat.
You can never buy a new boat. You can't buy a new boat after the year, after the first year. It's the new contract.
Right.
Okay?
Mr. King?
Yes.
It's the same question, but I have a follow-up.
Sure.
Yeah.
So the annual VA, it starts on October 1 and ends at midnight, September 30th.
Of the following
Following
year.
year.
Yes.
So I just want to clarify this based on what you just said.
Yes.
And that was my question also. So if you contracted out for $100,000 for a boat, and then your VA is $150,000, for example,
Okay.
and then it was contracted out, so you're saying that you can modify the contract because something changed, or maybe something cost more. Even though the contract was $100,000, you can renegotiate?
No, you're not modifying the contract.
Okay, you're not modifying
You're not modifying the contract, you're not changing anything. That boat, it costs more to get the boat from Indiana to the Great Lakes than you thought.
Right.
Okay? The transportation costs more.
Okay.
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 You can pay that extra
Okay.
transportation.
Okay.
Approach this slow. Yes.
With the upward and downward adjustments,
Yes.
that happens, what sort of authority do you need to actually have those upward and downward adjustments? Would you go to OMB for OMB to approve that?
No. That's pretty clear. You have a valid obligation on the books.
Yes.
You contracted to buy a boat. The bill of lading comes in, and it is $5 more than you originally wrote down and said was an obligation.
Right.
It's very quick.
And all you have is, but in your example, all you have is the $5?
If that's what you have, yes.
But
Yes.
what if you don't have enough?
Aha. You look at all of those years that you have 5 years, first year, about the second year, third year.
Yes.
You still don't have enough? You got a problem. Huh? This is the course of the Energy Efficiency Act, so I won't go into that. Any other questions? Is this the right place? No, we're in this. What are obligations? Obligations are actions that legally obligate the federal government to pay someone. Obligations are required by law to be covered, financed, by VA. You got to have the VA to incur the obligation. We talked about the forms of VA, we talked about all that stuff that tells you what kind of VA you got. That has to be. You incur an obligation when you earn your pay. The federal government's obligated to pay you as you earn your pay. I guess most people go by pay period. You say by pay period, however it's supposed to be. You earned it. The federal government's obligated to pay you. When you sign a contract, you're a contracting officer, you sign a contract that says, General Dynamics, you will provide me a boat, I'll give you the money. You're an obligation. Award a grant. You tell such and such a organization, The federal government is going to grant you a certain amount of money because you meet the criteria for that grant. Obligations incur. You approve a loan. Okay. Loan, the money's going, you incur an obligation when you say, I'm going to give you this loan. For you to disperse the money, there's a legal obligation to actually make that loan while the contracts are signed, blah, 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 blah. Okay. As an illustration, each year BA is appropriated for our salaries, expenses, and each of the regular appropriations. Or outlays. Outlays are payments to liquidate an obligation. You incur those obligations we just talked about different times. When it comes time for the federal government to actually pay, that is when we register an outlay. Outlays are a measure of government spending. Outlays are generally equal to cash disbursements. Outlays normally occur when the federal government pays bills. Why don't you just, the next to the last one. Outlays are generally equal to cash disbursements. How do we say generally? We said the money went out, that's an outlay. Why do we say generally? Well, sometimes money doesn't physically move anywhere. Okay? For example, when you receive your paycheck, you only get the net, unfortunately. There's some gross that goes to other government accounts. But no cash went anywhere. Okay? Cash is still in the treasury, sitting there waiting for when they have to make a disbursement to the public. But we count those as outlays. But you said you were trying to measure the impact on the economy of the transactions of the federal government. If you're recording those as outlays and cash didn't move, how can that be? That's because we also record them as receipts when that money was paid, if you will, from your account to Social Security, Civil Service Retirement Fund, other taxes, withholding for your paycheck. All those transactions happen. Expenditure was recorded in your SB account, and a receipt was registered, but no cash moved. Okay. So they netted each other out, so no impact on anybody. What are balances of budget authority? An obligated balance are the